There. Good morning, Doug here from the Hundredfold Journey. Thanks for joining us here on this Sundays with Doug, where we are embarking on a journey with you. We're coming alongside of you to rewire your brain, build new habits, and create a new identity. Because a hundredfold is about a group of people who are looking to find their true identity, and by doing so, finding God's true identity. So again, thanks for joining us this morning. Each week we cover the 10 truths, and these truths were true for Jesus. He was always in the right place at the right time. He always had an attitude of gratitude. And this is the same for us. We have God's Spirit within us. We are his dwelling place. And so I ask that you guys work on these 10 truths to memorize, apply, and meditate upon these each week. We've been on a journey on a series called Living from the Unseen, and we're on part 5 today, but we've been on senses, senses versus word, internal versus external. Which side do we pull from? Thinking versus knowing. Because our key verse is 2 Corinthians 4:18. We don't look for things that can be seen, but things that can't be seen. Things that can be seen are only temporary, but things that can't last forever. So today we're going to be talking about one power. And what does that mean? Because if we're going to truly live from the unseen, then we need to understand who really has the power. And is there anything that we need to fear? And if we live from the external versus the internal, if we do live from the internal, the unseen, then where do we draw that power from? And what I'm suggesting is there really is only one power. So let's talk about what God's original intent was. And his original intent was for us to live from the abundance that we already have. And in Genesis 1, it says, "Then God said, let us make man in our own image, according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. He created them. God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth, and subdue it, and rule over it. The fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over every living thing that moves on the earth." So this was God's original intent. When God created man, male and female, this is what his instructions were for them, to rule and to reign. Then he continued, Genesis 1:31, then God said everything that he had made, it was very good. Okay, so it was very good. And each day of the week that God created, day 1 through 5, it was good. But then when he created man and woman, he said it was very good. And then the last verse, then God took the man and put him in the garden to cultivate it and keep it. The Lord God commanded the man, saying, from any tree of the garden you may eat freely, but from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat from it, you will surely die. And I underlined the key words here, letting them rule over all the earth, and God blessed them. Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it and rule over it. It was very good. God was pleased to do this. It wasn't something he was forced to do. He enjoyed doing it. It's because of his loving nature. And then to cultivate it and keep it. If you look at the bottom left, if you go into the Hebrew word for rule, it really means dominion and to reign. And what do kings and queens do? They reign, right? They reign from their throne. They reign because they have authority. God has given us authority. Everything that's been given here is he's given us the authority to do all these things. And then the word blessed, that God blessed them. The Hebrew word there is that he kneeled. So God actually kneeled before man. And he basically says, I've given it to you. And it's like he bowed his head and said, here. And then we're supposed to subdue it, which is bring into bondage. right? And that means everything that creeps and in the sea and in the air, it's in our hands. And then to cultivate it means to work and to serve, and then to keep it is to watch and preserve it, right? So these are all the things that God has given to us into our hands. But what happened, right, is Adam and Eve says, no, thank you for doing all of that, but we're wanting to do it in our own power and in our own strength. And David, I think you made the comment earlier about making sure that we're pulling or listening to God versus ourselves, and where we're pulling from, and which voice are we listening to. And we need to make sure we're listening to God's voice. And this is what he's telling us. He wants us to rule, to reign, to subdue the earth, to cultivate it, and to keep it.
So I have a question. So Adam and Eve is the left and the right side of the brain?
Yes. Right.
It's the same with these two trees?
Correct. Yeah. The tree on the right is the tree of life, which is living from the unseen, which is agreeing with everything that God has just said, right? Because he wanted us to eat from the tree of life. But instead, man, Adam, Eve, chose to live from the seen, which was that apple, which represented doing things in our own strength and in our own power.
I don't think Adam and Eve understood what rest was, because even God rested on the seventh day. And when you don't rest, you build up this idea of I need more. I have anxiety because I just need more and more. And I think it's an important message that we all just need to rest sometimes, and whether God's there or not, rest is important, because that's how we create, I feel like, in my opinion, God is love. So I don't think God is a he. I mean, God is a he and she. God is, love. And from the beginning, I think that he created man out of love, because that's what we are.
Absolutely. And what does a loving father do? But he has provided for those that he loves, and this is what he's done. He's provided.
Here's what a loving father. Sorry, I'm jumping in. Here's what a loving father does. This is the first time I've read a story that actually fits the heart of the inside of a person. It's not just about how the way God is saying this. It says, then God said, let us make man in our image. How are we going to be towards anybody else? And how will that female, that rib that God took from us to go ahead and give us that companionship? He's showing us love in this verse, just of saying that, let them rule.
Yeah.
It's king and queens mentality does not work. But when the king listens to his queen as well, it gives a backbone story to how they're going to rule over, fish, everything. I got a different story. I understand what God's saying. And I know I'm taking it biblically differently. Like, this is the way we're supposed to be.
Right. Exactly.
Like, it's not a matter of how we did it. We just need to be like him and to everybody. Period.
Right.
Sorry. But we are him. We are him. We are all him. We don't need to be like him. We already are him. That's the thing.
Yeah.
We're already. Yes. I believe personally, we all are God. We just sometimes we forget that identity that we are, and then our powers are useless when we don't remember.
God wants us to be true to ourselves, like he is. Jesus. That's the way I think it is. It's hard to be true to yourself in this society, though, nowadays. I'm really understanding this verse. Thank you.
Yeah. So then we go to this, right? If God knelt before the male and female and blessed them, what do you guys see here in this picture?
Exactly what I'm trying to describe.
What do you guys see here in this picture? Rachel, what do you see? Rachel, what do you see?
Sorry, she stepped away for a minute.
Okay.
What I see is somebody enjoying a new creation that they just either made, or that they see as somebody that they're willing to bow down. I mean, he gave us freedom of choice, and then he sees that as, wow, I created the perfect wife, somebody I can spend the rest of my life with. I don't have to question mankind whether they're going to be real or not towards me, because I gave them freedom of choice. So just like when you ask a woman to marry you, there's freedom of choice there. She can say yes, she can say no. And so when God created human, he's like, oh, well, will they say yes? Will they say no? I don't know, but I'm going to give everything I have towards my creation, because, I made them to have freedom of choice. And I think God, energy being God, came to realization is, wow, I created something that can say no to me and say yes to my energy. And that's somebody I want to spend with the rest of my life.
And that choice, and Michael, you're exactly right, that choice was given to us, but it's in light of everything that he's given us. So it's almost as if we're not given a choice, because it's like, why wouldn't we want to choose him because of everything that he has done for us? Just like this bride, right? What is she doing? She's lovingly looking at this man that has done everything for her. And why wouldn't she want to? However, what does religion tell us? Religion tells us it's the other way around, right? It's the bride that's prostrate, her head is down, and please forgive me, and I'm so sorry, and I'm a dirty, rotten sinner. No, it's this way.
You got the fucking the red shoes and the green shoes. I go, wow, this in the room. I gotta wait for a fucking meeting.
Yeah, whoever's talking, I can't hear you. Sorry, you'll have to speak up a little bit.
I think that was David.
But what ends up happening is here's the truth: at the heart of the gospel is a good heavenly Father who wants a family and a beloved bride for his son, right? And when we understand that, when we truly know this, what happens to my beliefs, my thoughts, and my actions? When I truly believe this picture, what then happens to my beliefs, thoughts, and actions?
I want to say this right now. I've been trying to say this. Listen, when I see this picture, you asked it at the beginning. You see the earth underneath his feet, his knees. I don't look at it as it's a bow down to him. I look at it as that's the rib that God gave me. And she's adoring him, but it's more of me adoring her for what God above gave me.
Love it.
My beliefs or the actions are different. I wouldn't have that. But it's more than that, because I'm building up, my knees are on the ground. I'm asking for what God gave to me in the first place. And if I take it back to Adam and Eve, even though she gave me that evil apple, if I wanted to say it like that, I still adore what God put there, whether it was right or wrong. It's about the choices on what we're going to make in the decisioning, in the belief, thoughts, of actions between us. That's really deep right there.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's woo, God is her right there. That's the goddess right there. She's God.
Yeah, exactly.
Looking down upon us to, hold our backs. That's what wow.
So when we truly understand this, and we truly believe what God, and know that God has given all of this, then we have the ability to rule and to reign, right? There's another picture that I always like to share, and that's the picture of the bride. And what do you guys see here in this picture?
Oh, imperfections, huh? No.
Doug, I've been waiting for this picture because I remember you used to show this a long time ago when I first started this group. And I love that image, and I love what it means, that we are all the bride of God, and we're all perfect and holy. I mean, I'm not saying it exactly the right way, but I really like that photo.
Oh, no, you're exactly right. So what do you see? You know, perfect and holy, and what else? And Rachel, I know you've seen this picture before, but what else do you see in this picture? Describe it.
Just that, you know, she's beautiful and, you know, innocent and all the things good, really, that we should believe in ourselves, you know, man or woman, that, you know, we have everything to give, everything to bring to the table, and we're, you know, worthy. That's what I see.
Love it. Love it. How is she adored? Does she have a crown? What does that mean? Right? So the crown means what?
Well, I mean, she's holy. I mean, she's some kind royalty, like a princess or
There
a
you go.
queen.
There you go. Do you think she's lacking anything?
No.
No. She has everything that she needs, right?
Yeah.
And again, when we truly understand that this is who we are, this is the way God sees us, and this is our true identity. We are the bride of Christ. It says that in Paul's letters. When we truly understand that, then what happens to my beliefs, my thoughts, and my actions? They need to align with who I am. And I'll just give a blatant example, right? So would you find this lady in a pigsty like the prodigal son, feeding pigs and eating the pigs' food because she's hungry? Would you see that?
I wouldn't see that, but even if she was doing that, because there is a story in the Bible, I still would see that person as a queen.
Correct. So she would be doing it in a dress fully adorned with a crown on her head. She would be feeding the pigs and eating their food that way.
I believe the energy of God goes, what are you doing? Don't you know that don't you know you're royalty? Don't you know I made you like me, that we're the same?
Exactly.
Like, why are you eating out of that?
Exactly.
And she might say, I want to.
Yeah, just like Jesus did. He did that too. He didn't care wherever he went. It was that's perfection.
Right. Exactly.
I gotta say this because when I'm gonna go back. When we first started this over a year ago, this picture right here, I used to tell you about the imperfections that I seen. It was never the beauty of her. It was always the light fixtures on the wall.
Yeah.
Now, however, when I look at this picture and even hearing Rachel, you know, and just hearing the conversation, and looking at it over and over through the last year, the beauty that I see now is not the perfection of how she models what she is. I think what I see more now of is the perfection that God put with the beauty within inside her. Mm-hmm. That really, it's kind of like going back and looking at when you walk through the temple, you got to go through all the sections. Right. And that's when you find the real perfection inside. And I actually look at this picture way differently than when we first started with this. It's no more the light fixtures.
Yeah.
It's about
so what
so
what's coming, and I like your point, Lonnie, about, you know, the inside versus the outside, right? So we're seeing externally what we're seeing.
Yeah, it's the radius light from inner.
You can sense, though, the confidence that she exudes, the love that she feels, the happiness that she's showing. It's all being reflected because that's what's on the inside. Yeah. Right? Because life is a mirror which reflects back what we truly believe and think. So we could say that this is how she thinks she is, therefore she is, because she's agreeing with what God's opinion is of her.
Yeah. And it's not about the reflection of how, see, I used to look at some girls sometimes, you know, like they want everything, you know, they want to be fancy like this, but I have a better understanding now, whether they dress like that or they have that, they want to feel like that radiant insideness, and whoever accustoms to them, whoever they choose really, accustoms to them, they want to be radiant and feel good inside, you know. And they'll make the other end, and that's what I get from the picture prior to that. It's
and when she feels that and knows that, then she can become that.
Exactly. And we become that with God, our own selves,
Bingo.
same way.
Bingo. Exactly.
God's provision.
All right. So God's provision. And here's an interesting statement. God is not in the business of giving me anything. What do you think that means, you guys? God is not in the business of giving me anything.
Meaning, I believe, that God is not in the business of giving me anything because I already have everything.
Exactly.
Why? But wait a minute. But God being energy, in my opinion, what I believe God being energy and being love, I believe that there is one thing that he did give us when he created us in his own image, and that is forgiveness. That we have the strong ability to love and forgive. But other than that, I feel like we don't need anything again, if you get what I'm saying. He already gave us in the beginning. We don't need anything new from God, that we already have that.
Right. Religion would tell us that we're lacking. The world would tell us we're lacking. Religion would tell us, rub that genie lamp and say your prayer, and then poof, out comes, the answer. But God has given us everything. Through the Holy Spirit, he is opening my eyes to what I already have, what I already possess, which is everything. And it goes back to Genesis. It goes back to what Christ showed us when he died for us. He revealed the love that God has and has given us everything. So what I need to do is wake up to the fact that God has blessed me already, right? I'm heaven on earth. The kingdom of God resides within me. I am a life-giving spirit, and there's waters of living water which flow out of me. It's already in there. Do I believe it? Do I believe I'm that bride? And the definition of faith is agreeing with God, then resting in that truth. Faith isn't mustering up, oh, I'm going to believe, and it's just agreeing. It's like, yeah, okay, God says I'm Ephesians 1, I'm holy, I'm blameless, I'm perfect, I was chosen before the foundation of the world, I'm indwelt with his spirit. Faith is just agreeing, says, oh, okay, there's nothing I need to do to make that happen. It's already happened.
That right there is like one of the best feelings to, we're all human, and we do not say make mistakes, but we make bad choices, and a lot of us will go, oh man, I'm so dumb, that's why I did that, I'm a dumb person, I'm stupid, I'm just, that's who I am. But I've learned being like, what, no, God says when he created me that I am a good human, and that bad choice doesn't define who I am, that I do have everything I need. And when you tell yourself that, you go, whoa, you have a new, fresh air to breathe.
Exactly. That's right.
I'll give you that fresh air to breathe. Like you just said, Michael, right now, this morning, I got called at 8:00 this morning to ask for my neighbor, hey, do you want to go have breakfast? And I was like, are you kidding me? You're waking me up at 8:00 in the morning. And anyhow, it was new enlightenment to life, because I actually would have said no, and I was going to say no. However, I went, met this new place I went to, great food, great breakfast, and just great, the atmosphere, the people that I was around was much better than what I used to choose to be around. Nice. And I think all of the stuff that we ever talk about on here is choices. It's not just about who you put yourself around, but it's how you put yourself around them, is what I'm finding,
Yeah, very good.
That's just, it's you got to have that God spirit. And man, it was such a blessing.
So just a little side note, this sentence here, Jewish day starts and ends at sundown. So just the way God designed a given day is it starts. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, I mean one that is big enough to swallow a chihuahua.
So
I have seen it.
hey guys, I think that's Jeremy. If you can put yourself on mute. But the point is Jewish day starts and ends at sundown. So our day starts with rest. That's the way God designed it. So in America, in the United States, right, we consider our day starting in the morning, and then at night we rest. But God has reversed that. So just a little side note there. So here's the point. I already have everything. I just don't know it. 2 Peter 1, 3, and 4. According to his divine power, he has given us all things that pertain to life and godliness through the knowledge of him that has called us to glory and virtue, whereby are given to us exceedingly great and precious promises, that by these you might be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. So here it is, guys. You know, God is telling us he's given us everything, all things that pertain to life, right? And life is, the word there is Zoe life. Everything for this present moment, everything that exists around us, that's life, and godliness, which is living like God. He's given it to us. And the way we do that is through his precious promises, through God's word. So when we read stuff like this, or we read in Genesis 1 where it says he's given us the keys to rule and to reign, those are precious promises. And when we agree with those, when we have faith that says that is for me, we see ourselves as the bride, and life, we agree. We have everything.
When you say that, Doug, the divine nature, or partakers of the divine nature, how you're saying it, you know, it brought something to me. It's how we escape the corruption that is in this world. Coming from the place I grew up at, there was a lot of corruption.
Yep.
But the choice now to see how you're saying that, it's the life of the godliness. But we all had that in us when we were younger as well. We started off that way.
You got it.
We're born into the sin, but all things were already given to us, but we also take choices. I really like that about the partakers of the divine nature, looking at where we all came from, having escaped the corruption of this world. And that's got to be within inside of us, our hearts, and also to be able to turn away from that kind of lifestyle and almost tell your friends that you thought were your friends at that time, can't be what you know more if you ain't with God, but I want to try to get you with God.
Yeah, so Lonnie, you made a point that we're born in sin. So sin is a wrong identity, thinking that I am something that I'm not, right? That's what Adam and Eve did. She did not believe her true identity was that I am here to rule and to reign. She felt that she needed to eat of that apple in order to make that happen because of the temptation. So we're not born into sin because we were saved before the foundation of the world, right? So, and Hebrews talks about that their sins and lawless deeds, I remember no more. So we're not born into sin. However, we are born into a world that doesn't know their identity. So as you mentioned, you were raised in a community that was not so good. And that's because they didn't know who they were. So they felt that they needed to do these things, steal or be mean or angry or fearful, because that's what was learned. That's what their parents told them. That's what their grandparents told them. And that's where we need to renew our mind, because it's a cultural thing.
Well,
I like how you say that. Yes. Go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say that, I mean, religion's in the business of keeping God being greater than all of mankind, really. That's what religion wants to tell us, is that you're born a sinner because you're not it's not possible for you to be like God when you're first born. It's just not. And the truth is we're born all out of love. And
Right.
we're born when we have a heartbeat in the woman's. We were born even before that. We're all God. We're all love energy that never ends. And so when religion tells you you're born out of sin, they want you to keep coming back to church. They want you to keep going, okay, you're right. I am a sinner. I need to bow to God. I need to pray. But they don't want to tell you to find that you exist inside, you know?
Right. Yep.
It came wrong out of my mouth. I didn't mean
No,
born
that's all right.
in
I
sin,
just wanted to I just wanted to clarify that. So
yeah,
so
I
not a
meant to
problem.
be. I was just saying born into the world of sin, but I
Yes.
like the way.
Oh, you're
that's
okay.
the way I meant to say it, but I like how you. It caught me to rephrase my own self on what
That's
I
all
said.
right.
I didn't. So I really like the way you both just described that.
So if this is true, I already have everything that I need. I just don't know it. And that God is not in the business of giving me anything, then where is it? Right? It's like, okay, Doug, this is all fine and dandy, but my goodness, what do you mean I have everything? What does that mean? And back to our key verse, it says, we don't look for things that can be seen, but the things that can't be seen. The things that are around us are only temporary, but things that can't be seen last forever. And it's not coming from the five physical senses, right? It's not coming from the things that I see or touch or taste. That's not where it's coming from. It's not in the visible. It's in the unseen. I need to walk by faith, not by sight. And Hebrews 11:1 says, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen. So there is an element of faith that says, I have to believe this, but where is it? And the answer is, you are looking outside of you, but everything is inside. It's in you. Everything that you need is in you, because who is in you? And sorry, my screen is turning kind of bright here. All right, I can't get away from that light. So everything that you need is within you, because who dwells in you? Who is it that dwells in you? It's God.
Love,
right?
God,
Yeah.
Holy Spirit, Jesus, God.
Exactly. So everything that you need is within you. I am the dwelling place of God. He resides in the Holy of Holies, and his presence is here. The question is am I yielding to that inner voice? Am I yielding to his guidance and his direction? But everything that you need, it's not out there. It's not begging, getting that genie, rubbing the lamp. It's not pleading. It's not begging. It's not confessing. It's not anything except realizing who you are, and that everything that you need is within you. We are that bride. If you go back to the picture of the bride, this is who we are. She's not lacking anything. She has everything that she needs for life and godliness.
It's the renewal that I can relate to others breaking free from that bondage, even if you're not religious, just breaking. I can remember a time where it's hard for me to show love or receive love because I didn't believe who I was, and I was so I don't want to believe that I'm God. Like that's not right. But the truth is when you do see that you are love and you are love energy, and that's what you're made out of, and you're not made of anything else, it brings you to realization that you can live a more peaceful life, knowing that just because you do something, you cussed or whatever it was, you're not going to be condemned to negativity and that killing you. There's always, I heard somebody say, each day is a new creation. Each day you can consider yourself a new creation. You don't have to live in that stinky mindset, because you can wake up and say, I'm a new creation. My thoughts a new creation. We're going to do this,
Yeah, exactly. So now we have to just understand, all right, who owns everything?
Doug.
Yeah.
You go back to the princess again.
Yep.
The unseen, here in personal life, man, my own self, I've seen different beauties, but here's her glamour isn't about that dress. or what she has. That beauty is really within inside her. That's material that's on the outside that we see.
Right.
But the unseen is what's inside her heart and that. And I never looked at this picture like that. And I think I remember Sister Carol telling me one time, long time ago, look at a person's heart, not what they're wearing, what they have, what is their surrounding, but look at their heart. And I'm glad this came back. Thank you. I had to come back to that.
Right. Yeah. And again, life is a mirror, which reflects back what I truly believe and think. She knows beyond a shadow of a doubt that she is loved, that she's blessed, that she's been given a crown to rule and to reign.
Yeah.
So that then becomes reflective outside of her because of that.
Yeah.
Because of that knowing. All right, let's continue. So understanding who owns everything. So Ephesians 4 says, there is one body and there is one spirit, just as also you were called in one hope of your calling, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all. So who owns everything? God, right? Love.
We do.
Right. And where is God? He is in us. Therefore, we own everything. He's given it to us, just like that picture, right? With the groom and the bride. He's given to us everything that we need for life and godliness.
Here's how I see it is, imagine the God being the sun that warms the earth. Without the sun, the earth doesn't work, right? So that us seeing that the sun, which is God, which is love, which is energy, is one with us, that keeps us alive, you know. And we can choose.
The S-U-N supplies everything that it needs, just like the S-O-N supplies us with everything that we need.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
There is only one power, one God, one life, one spirit, one authority, one body, one mind, one truth, one hope, one love, and one supply. Those are all different Bible verses that you can find. There's only one. According to this verse, where are we? We are in the one. And I can only be where God is, in him, in his body, in his love, in his spirit, in his power. I cannot not be where God is. And David, one of the Psalms, he says, where can I go? Where can I go to be away from you? If I go to the pits of hell, you're there. If I go to the highest heaven, you are there. You are everywhere. I cannot not be where God is, right? He's everywhere. He's in all, everywhere. So who owns everything? And I think, Michael, you already answered the question. You do. It's been given to you. It's in you.
We, according to this verse, where are you? It's where are we within ourselves with other people, and are we being godly towards other people as Jesus was here on earth and giving the love to other people? You know, why can't we do that ourselves on this land?
It's because people don't understand this.
Choice.
They're coming from a position of lack and fear and, you know, basically that. And so it causes them.
I lacked it too. So yes.
Yeah, exactly. You know, myself, right? There are things that I fear and I need to, like that verse says, we capture every thought and hold it captive and say, no, I'm not going to allow that stinky thinking to come in. Instead, I'm going to replace it with this thought, which says, I've been given everything for life and godliness.
Yeah. Fear is a liar.
Right, Michael.
Right. So understanding one, and there is only one. Acknowledge that you have the power to choose, because we do. The power of dark versus light, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, allowing it to be an equal choice. The contrast between the two allows you the power to choose. Whatever you choose is done with non-judgment. Neither one has the power to override your choice. Each has equal power. Only one has more power when you give it the ability to do so. So if you give something the power, because you have the power, and you say, oh, well, in fact, let me just, the next slide is what I want to go to. But we actually, because we have been given the power, we also have the ability to give away that power to other people, to circumstances, to situations, to the five physical senses. We have the ability to give that power away, even though it's ours, right? Eve is a good example, right? She gave her power away. She gave it to that temptation, to that apple that says, oh, I need to do this in order to be who I already am. She gave that power, she gave her power away. So I'll just do this quick because I want to get to the next slide. Being in him means I'm no longer me. It's Christ living as me. I have the power to choose which power I give to, right? And I just talked about that. My power comes from within. There's only one source of power. And John 15:5 says, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you abide in me, if you listen to my voice, if you yield to the right side, then you'll bear much fruit. And again, I need to yield to the power that's already in me, and then rest. And Michael, you talked about that rest and knowing that Christ is in me.
On the lighter side, if the lights go out, I don't get to see football, the AFC. No, I'm just playing. Yes.
But do you really believe all of that? Are you giving power or paying attention to the things that don't have power? The power to give things that don't have power is power. So do you give power to your bank account? Do you give power to your money, to the doctor's report, to other people, circumstances, situations, temptations, how you feel or think, fear or anxiety, your job, right? What are you focusing on? Are you listening to the voices and giving these things power, because you have the ability to do that, because you have the power within you to listen to other people and their opinion of you, that's saying that you can't be God and you need to confess your sins and you're a dirty, rotten sinner? Do I listen to that voice of religion? Or do I listen to the voice that's within me that says, Ephesians 1, I'm holy and blameless. I am that bride. When I put my focus and I'm paying attention to these reports, then I'm giving them power. Then they have power over me because I'm giving them that power. I'm listening to that voice.
So I have a question. So since I am God, and when I forget that I am God, is that God forgetting that he's God? Because if we are God in a human form, right, 100% man, 100% God, isn't that God saying, hey, you know what, I am God. You know, I do have all those abilities. I do have the ability to heal other people. I do have the ability to forgive sin. Or does God, the energy, always remember that he's God? It's just our human brain forgets.
That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
And can I say so? Looking at this too, and I like how he said that. I'm looking at the way this, but do you really believe all that? I lived my life like this: bank account, the money, doctor's report, other people, others, and let me phrase this. Every one of these, yes, I lived that the last few years, but I gotta say, after being here online, in this group study has given me a different look at what all these mean now. None of those, I used to live my life that fear. I still have the fear and the anxiety still on parts of it, but for most part, temptations, other people, doctors' reports, I don't listen to that anymore because of this program. I used to base my life off of all of that. And it wasn't until, what, a year and a half ago, you know, Doug, a year and a half, 2 years ago, that once I stopped having that anxiety of living what life wants me to be rather than what God wanted me to be. And I'm still learning what God wants me to be. So, but I don't have that pressure anymore of any of those. That's God's already got it handled, right?
Yeah. And Lonnie, thanks for sharing that, because, you know, as we've talked before, you know, we have 50 years of mindset and these trees that have grown, you know, huge redwood tree thoughts that tell us, no, this is the way it's always been. And what do you mean that, you know, you can't listen to that doctor? We have to cut those trees down and replace them with new trees, new thoughts about who we truly are. So it takes a while, right? 50 years is a long time to overcome those negative thoughts and the conditioning and all of that. So give ourselves patience. And that's where that grace dial comes in, right? Give yourself grace that knows that, hey, you know I had that thought, but that's not who I truly am. And don't beat yourself up about it. So again, when we understand this, then life becomes from a state of rest. Then we don't have to worry or be anxious about the bank account or the situations or the temptations that come, because none of those have power. The last bullet there, all of these are no power. There's only one power, and that's what God has given within us. And our role now, going back to Genesis 1, is to rule and to reign over all the earth and to subdue it, right? We also need to work it. We need to manage it, right? But they don't control us. We control them because we have the power within us to do that. That's the way God designed it.
You said it real great, Doug. You said it real great. 50 years or however somebody is old. I'm only 2 years old into the Christianity.
There you go. That's right.
So, you know, this makes a lot more sense to me now than it did the first 50 years old, 50 years that, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And call yourself 2-year-old. I like that. So, you know, you're a toddler still, right? And so you're still getting your feet under you. You're learning how to walk. And you know, 2 years from now, when you're 4 years old, you know, you'll be standing stronger, and you'll be learning more about it. And those thought patterns will be replaced with new ones, and they'll become stronger. So yeah, that's a really good way of looking at it.
Yeah, and it's no longer, it's relearning, come to me back as a child, God says. So it's kind of like I'm relearning to where I was a child, and I'll tell it myself. But what I'm saying is that it's how to respect and love other people and not look at them in disrespect and without love of the heart, you know.
That's right. Yeah, because everyone has the seed of God within them. Everyone has what we've been talking about today. Everyone has that power within them. They just haven't realized it yet. Their eyes haven't been open because they have been born into sin. They're not sinners, but they've been born into a fallen mindset when their parents or their grandparents says, you can't do that, and all these rules and restrictions and all of that, versus them saying, just like Jesus, right? Jesus was born into a family, Mary and Joseph, that says, you were born the Son of God. And they told him that throughout his whole life. You are a son of God, right? So he came from the mindset right from when he was a baby that he was born that way. So he kind of had an advantage over us, because when we were born under the dirty, rotten sinner, and you're never good enough, and the fallen mindset. So, anyways, we just need to renew our mind. We need to renew our software. and remind ourselves of who we truly are. We are that bride. So have that visual in your mind that you are that bride. And when we know that, then all of a sudden, you know, it's going to be reflected out, because life is a mirror which reflects back what I truly believe and think. All of a sudden, the bank account and the doctor's report and the circumstances, they're all going to change. They're going to change to my benefit because of who I am. And I'm going to be attracting the good reports, not the bad ones, because that's not who I am. You know, I don't have an empty bank account. I don't have a bad doctor's report. So anyways, I hope that helps. We're at the end of our lesson. Before I go into our summary, any final questions or comments?
I think at the bottom line of this, the way I would look at this right now is whether my bank account was low, whether the rent is low, whatever issue that's going on in life, it's the bottom line to have faith of God that where he has you is where he's putting you in the for you to grow in a different aspect, you know, rather than what the world is.
Yeah. So let me just kind of tweak that just a little bit, Lonnie. I hear exactly what you're saying.
Thank you.
Don't think of God as the outside force that's manipulating and moving and bringing all these circumstances to us. He's not in the business of giving us anything. He's already given it to us. So we have the choice to decide how we want to react. And these circumstances and situations will be governed, will be ruled and reigned by our decisions, by our choices, and how we think about things.
Thank you for rephrasing it.
Yeah. All right. So here's our summary screen. And again, we are called the 100-fold journey, because if we go back to Jesus's teaching on the seed and the sower, there were seeds that were planted, and some crops yielded 30, 60, and 100-fold. And these are just different mindsets of the way people believe. And the 30-fold mindset is, I still struggle with sin and the devil because I'm still in Adam. I have a sinful nature, and it's hard to live in the fallen world. So they're definitely living from their 5 physical senses. They're living from the body, and it's work-based. Then we have the 60-fold, which is they know that they are a new creation. They know they have God's power in them, but there's still things that they need to do. They need to bind and cast out evil spirits and so forth. So they're work-based, right? 100-fold is rest-based. And this is where we acknowledge that there is one power, one energy, one body. There's nothing else that I need. I am one with all of that. I don't need to do anything. I already have it. And then because of that, I live by rest. It's a rest-based. I know I already have it. Just like that bride, the picture of the bride. Maybe I should replace this picture, but the bride knows that she's got everything. She's confident, she's happy, she's radiant, and she's got it, but she doesn't have to work for it. It's who she is. But then you have to ask yourself the question, is God really that good? The way you answer that determines your yield. Did God really give us everything that we need? First Peter says to rule and to reign, and giving us everything for life and godliness. My answer is yes, absolutely. There's some that say, well, yeah, maybe, but I still have to do things. They're still going to produce a crop, 30, 60, and 100-fold. I want to be in the 100-fold. Just as a reminder, this week, if you can continue on the 10 truths, please work to memorize and meditate upon these. And then next week, we'll be doing session 6, Living from the Unseen. All of this information can be found on our website, which is the100foldjourney.com. So please go there. And then, of course, you can always join us on Facebook. All right, so that's our teaching for today. Thank you so much for joining us and being on this, and we will see you next week. Bye for now.